Now, it gives me great pleasure to welcome onto the stage our keynote speaker for session 2, Julia Fernandez-Rodriguez. Julia is head of the Center for Cellular Imaging Core Facility at the University of Gothenburg, Sweden, and president of the Core Technologies for Life Sciences Association, CTLS. CTLS is a networking, non-profit association that brings together scientists, technical and administrative staff working across the world in core facilities. Julia has over 22 years' experience in launching, implementing and managing research infrastructures and training activities at both national and international levels. Julia received her PhD in biochemistry from the University of Vigo in Spain, and Julia actively contributes to various national and international expert panels. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to actually be here when you launch two important things for Galway. From one side is the Institute, and for other, the core facilities. I have the duty, or the work right now, to talk about core facilities. And yesterday, during the workshop, was actually one question that we didn't answer. What is actually a core facility? Is this moving? Oh, now. What is a core facility? Yes, here in the audience, there will be people that maybe know or think to know, or people that don't know at all. They have never actually worked in a core facility or used a core facility. Okay. Green, there you go. Let's start easy. Core facilities normally are centralized resources, and does not mean that necessarily everything is centered in one place, but they're centralized. There is an administration, some structure, some organization. Unfortunately, not always we have to do it, not always have the luck that someone do it for us. They all belong to an institution that most of the times are academic institutions like universities. And the people are there, they provide actually access to the specialized equipment. In case that there are technological equipment, obviously social science and humanities, they also have core facilities. They don't have exactly the same equipment as we have been seeing these days. And of course, they serve it for technologies and the expertise. And the expertise for me is always the most important, even so that he is sitting in the last sentence. They actually conduct this highly quality research that we have been here all the time now for fundamental research and for application research. We are there to help everybody. Either you have fundamental or you have applied. There is different facilities that help. In my view, especially because I'm running a microscopy facility, this is a basic technology you can use for anything. It's very difficult to say, and actually before it was an objective of a microscope. It's always putting microscopes when we're talking about technology. Does not mean that it's the only technology, but it's an important one. Obviously, these core facilities, they service. It's a service provision. We're helping researchers. This is our job. They come into us and we're helping them with whatever we need at that moment. Equipment that can be microscopes, mass spectrometry, sequencing, can be servers, if our friends and our colleagues in the social science that they do more data analysis, storage, repositories also as well from the humanities. The management, well, the management that normally is done for the highly trained staff and the head of facility. Today, actually wearing two hats. From one side, the head of one facility, an imaging facility, but also the president of an association that actually tried to advocate for core facilities. What are we doing? And that's my job as well. Unfortunately, I don't have my own proper administrator. I would love to have a secretary with me, but this is impossible. I have to do the day-to-day operation, the budgeted financial management. I have to take care of my staff. I have to take care of the users, check the user satisfaction, and a long list that I don't have a space here. And just give me the opportunity to show my team as an example of a core facility and how that evolved into a research infrastructure. Here is my team. We are 8 people in total, with a collaboration as well, and 1 PI in the middle, York, that is actually doing the multi-imaging mass spectrometry. We are a combined facility. We don't have only one technology. We have a multimodal technology that includes both light electron microscopy and multi-imaging mass spectrometry. People talk about X-rays, and I tell them, okay, let's take it easy. And we see. The important thing here is that you see here the core and the soul, that is the people. Without that people, there is no core facilities. And this is the ones will sustain, especially in the long-term sustainability, to have them. It's not so easy to get these people. Here there are people that are biotechnologists, biochemists, physicists, chemistry, computer scientists, biologists, all that in one facility, in one group. And all that with different expertise, in different backgrounds, that will help in the end of the day the researchers that come to us. And in the bottom is all the infrastructures and associations where you are part of, because I will have some of my colleagues probably discussing more about the collaboration and integration and interaction and cooperation that is actually necessary and is actually happening every single day and promoted by core facilities. That's our mission, of course, is expert service, consultation, and be as the support units for individual scientists. And this is important. Keep in mind core facilities, individual scientists, individual labs. We're helping down individual labs. And with what? With expertise, specialized expertise. And what it makes us a bit different, because you say, okay, a lab for a PI with a lot of money that got ERC grants, it can be a small core facility, not completely. Okay, let's go. Bear with me and follow my story during 20 years since I established my facility, where I put every single plaque of my microscopes. Also deal with all the other parts, but the microscopes and the uses was the most fun part. Independency. We actually operate independently of any individual research group. That makes us to be open, and to anyone that comes to us, we will say yes, if it's feasible, if it's technically feasible. State-of-the-art equipment, sure, especially on the ones that we are heavily related in technology, like microscopy or mass spectrometry. We emphasize in the equipment and high-end resource equipment. Even a workhorse system can do fantastic things. When the people came the new microscopes, everybody go to the new microscopes. I can still work in the old ones and get exactly the same as the new ones, but I love the new ones. Expert staffing. This is extremely important because the people we have here is specialized. In my facility, on top of that, the majority of them are PhDs. The only one is not PhD, is the computer science, that they just started working with us, that have done the master, and he was fed up with the industry. I want to go to academia. I want to feel that what I do is reward for something, for someone, and they really appreciate what I do. Scale and flexibility. We can scale and be flexible for the fact that we have the instrumentations and we have the people that allow us to actually meet the needs of the different research that actually come to our facility. But we have more. We are not stopping there. I have not stopped yet. And I could go probably very long, but I only have half an hour, 22 minutes. Sorry, Robin. Only 22 minutes. Training and education, for sure. We do that every day. In microscopy, I think it depends on the technology. I call users because I actually train them to use the microscope. I'm not afraid they use the microscope. They have to use the microscope. PhD students, postdocs have to understand what they're actually doing and not just give me a slide and I give you a result. I think they actually have to understand, because as a microscopy, when you sit at the microscope, it's actually when you do the experiment. Well, we talk about sample prep, yes, definitely. I have done both light and electron microscopy, and I know exactly what is that. Collaborative environment, obviously. We foster that every single day. As I say, my team already is for 8 different countries, just in terms of cultural. But of course, we have collaborating and this interdisciplinary because also we get our users that also have expertise that we also gain a lot from that. Accessibility. We were the first facility in Sweden that was open access. And that not means free access. That means that we want access to any scientist in the world that need microscopy. And I think it's a key for sustainability. It's true that there are facilities, that they are filled on to departments, and they are more restricted only to internal. But in the end of the day, Karolinska Institute in Sweden and Stockholm, they have all internal, not anymore. Not any longer. They have to open it. It is difficult to keep these facilities in long term if you don't have this accessibility. Funding model. In core facilities, most of the times the combinations is a combinations of funding. Fees, the institution, the host institution, and also sometimes as well European or international or national. I think, and it's not only us, not only core facilities was done that, but we have done a shift in science. And I love this. I like to use team science or big science. Actually, talking to some social scientists, they don't like to use research infrastructure name. They're talking about big science. And actually, I agree with them. We do that. And we do that together with our colleagues that they are the PIs, PhDs, postdocs, and coming every day. And we can actually keep all this knowledge and pull all together and discuss all together. That means that the facilities, more than I have told you before in terms of the service, they do something extremely important for the society and for the reputation of the institute. Definitely, you are going to recruit elite people, new PIs, younger PhDs, younger PIs, early career. They wanted to know if there is facilities around them, that they don't have to use their budget in buy instruments. Not only to buy the budget to buy instruments, but also to have the expertise. They don't want their people is actually become super expert in microscopy and mass spectrometry. What they want is the results. And they want to that the students learn from us about how to get these results. Meeting points, we did it yesterday. This is a meeting point, but actually we do it every single day. When you have, and I hope in the new institute they have areas where the people can have coffee and discuss, because there is the place where actually everything is like a fountains and energy. Technologically mentors. I think I have, because of my position, I cannot be main supervisor, but I think in 22 years I have supervised many people. Many undergraduate students and many graduate students. And sometimes they work on questions that they were not only about the microscopy. And a cell biologist in background, and many times we were talking about Western blot, so all the type of things that they might need during their research. We actually become really mentors. And something important for the host, funding and grants. In the last 4 years, I'm not a PI, but I have produced more than some PIs on my faculty. You can apply for European grants, for research infrastructure, Infratech, you can apply for other national grants in Sweden related to research infrastructures to buy the instruments, to also participate together with the PIs. In general, we actually have got money inside the facilities. And we are a good point for doing that. Even for the researchers itself, to say we have a facilities that will help us to do this, it will be for the founders to say, okay, we believe you. You have the quality control because you have those facilities there. And of course, we are technological watch and innovation. Innovation happens practically every day in our facilities. And the innovation is not only that I construct or build a new machine. Even service provision, change that is a type of innovation. It is important to know that we actually are there. We watch, we see what is the last things is going on. We actually keep something that is more and more, that is the engagement with industry. We have to do it. We actually partnership. Just Elaine have said that you are now lab location. Well, that means something. And push size to do something more than just you buy the microscopes. Because we can partnership. And we have done projects with them. And this is the way we have to work. And of course, for doing that really effectively, the core facilities need technology and human resources, of course, but appropriate funding schemes. The host institution have to have that in mind as well for the long term. It's not just to get the machines and that's it, or to get the people and that's it. We have to keep it, think in the future and how we sustain this from the long run. And that's coming with the structural support or with other type of support that you think they will be good for your facilities. Research infrastructures, very few slides, just to make a little difference there. Now we're talking a bit large. And this can be national, international. We don't have to think about the CER only. Nationally, you will have as well your research infrastructures. That will be an integration probably from the facilities you have already now. And the difference before that the core facility will do something that it will be difficult for individual labs. In this case, it will be something that will be difficult for an individual institution. You will need now institutions that will make consortia and start working together and integrated the different knowledge. Instead to done redundance, you actually now try to integrate and cooperate with your colleagues in other institutions. That's probably a more leadership we have to design, but I think the heads and the managers that also working every day is the ones who have to create this bottom-up work that have to be done. Of course, in here, the components in terms of the services can be much bigger, and then you have the accelerators. If we go to the physics toys, all the accelerators and synchrotrons that we know, they're quite expensive. Data repositories, supercomputers that we have heard about, high-performance computers, things like that, biobanks, network of facilities, that will become all these now research infrastructures. In this case, the management is a bit more complex because now there is a consortia that have to be discussed in between the universities or in between the institutes. But to make it more difficult, because it's not finished yet, these infrastructures can be a single site. Like we have, for example, the European nuclear research, the CERO, the European synchrotron. But we can also have what is the distributed facilities. And this is the case that happens on life sciences. Because we still need to have maybe confocals or maybe flow cytometers or mass spectrometries in different size. And the redundancy is not a problem here, it's actually necessary. That's why we have, for example, the Elixir, that is the infrastructure for life science information that is quite distributed, and I imagine that Ireland will have some notes here. We have the Consortium of the European Social Science in Data Service. In this case, is the CESDA for the social scientists, or the Eurobioimaging in the case of the microscopy and the clinical imaging, both of them. That means now that we're talking about an institute that actually is joint force from both researchers and clinical. Maybe you will have something there as well in terms of, in the long run, for Eurobioimaging in the clinical side. I go back now to my facility with my people and the instruments and show you how we have grown from being a core facility that we started in 2002 with 7 instruments and 2 people. Now we have 18 instruments and 8 people and a lot of work. As you see here, services, access, training, data processing, networking, innovation, innovation, innovation. That's constantly, and sharing expertise. We're going to be national first, because of course, first we need to be a national node, and then we are part research counseling, allow us to create the national microscopy infrastructure, and some years ago, almost 4 years ago, we entered in the other big infrastructure for life sciences in Sweden, that is Science Life Lab. But we did not stop that. The onion is continuing growing. We are also part of a regional infrastructure, the Bridging Nordic microscopy infrastructure that established practically all the Nordic countries: Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, and Denmark. And just to finalize the onion, we are also part of an international infrastructure with one node from Sweden into the EuroBioimaging. If you look at in the map, Sweden is very long, but we are only 10 million inhabitants. We are not a very big country neither. Talking about small countries, we are not a big country, but still a smart country. We have actually 5 nodes distributed in the country that is forming our national research infrastructure with 5 facilities, core facilities. And we are, of course, part of the bigger one that is the EuroBioimaging with different facilities, core facilities that have 4 nodes, national nodes, to become an international infrastructure. Key differences. Core facility, and don't take it strictly and constrained. This is an evolving field, and things changing. Sometimes core facilities actually are quite big. But typically they are smaller. If I compare with the SER, I think, and small. They have a big synchrotrons. The research infrastructures, of course, they are normally large. The large is single size. The distributed ones, of course, in that case, you will have many small core facilities that form in that distributed. But in the end, you will be one. I show you 5 facilities in Sweden for our node, but in reality, we are one. We have one host. But happens to be that they are distributed in the country. But in reality, we are one node and we are one facility. Accessibility, core facilities, they are accessible to the institution. Many of them also, they are open to externals. Research infrastructures by definition and their description, they have to be open science, open to all scientists. Of course, there is a competitive access to those. And sometimes, as many of you maybe have used the synchrotrons, you have to wait 6 months or 1 year to actually get in there. This is not as complicated in the core facilities. The funding management, of course, that can differentiate. I will not enter strong there because there can be differences. In principle, of course, most of the time in the core facilities is the institution that hosts and the fees that you get, where the research infrastructures, obviously the money comes for the different institutions. That means that actually, and I like this slide, even if it's very simple, we call core facilities because we are the core. Don't forget that. We are the core of all these research performing organizations or all these research consortium organizations. You will always find a facility. Before you go to the synchrotron, you have to prepare the sample. You cannot go with whatever sample to the synchrotron. And where do you do that? In the core facility. You have to do it there where they have the technology and the people that will help you. We make in these collaborative environments. And that, of course, is crucial for this competitive interdisciplinary science that we are talking about here. And actually, the important thing, before I go that for the Europeans, for the European Commission, research infrastructures also are super important. Then don't forget that. They consider that we are knowledge-based for the society, that we are the core of the open science, with all the data management and all the open science and the open innovation. We are a perfect collaborator that will never say no. But how we do that? Here is the most important part. We do that thanks to the expertise and the facility staff that operate these systems. Why? Because they are special people. Yeah, I'm special. Sorry, I think Spain and Portugal is united. And I love Saramago, when he decided to remove and disconnect geographically the Iberian Peninsula for the rest of Europe. We are separated by the Pyrenees. Never mind. These people actually understand the users. And that's important. The needs of the users, they strive to push the technology and to take pride, and this is important word, in the making the user successful. We left that you bright, not us. Even showed that now I'm brighting. This light is like, I understand now the POV stars that they have using sunglasses. They do that. We don't have any problem that you are doing because this is our job, actually doing every day. Of course, important to say, because I remember 22 years ago was not like that. If I was chosen to be in a facility, it's because I cannot be academia. I could have chose to do it. I didn't, because I did not want to. We are there because it's a real choice. We want to, and for that reason, we lead in a specific career, and that is important. We actually can be a second mentors, sometimes even the first mentors, I will say, in many cases. It's true, the researchers master the questions, but we master the methodology approaches that come behind these questions. We also, the fact that we have this direct involvement in between students, postdocs, and the staff that are working, there is actually a lot of engagement and helping, and we actually expanding our development in both sides, not only in the case that the students actually get the knowledge, but also we also get a lot of knowledge during this time. But there's a problem. If you want to really retain, because it's not just get these stars with you, I call them stars. This is a section that actually you secure this future. If you don't secure the future, we will have a problem. And they are important because they maximize the facility financial sustainability from the long-term success. That means that we have to have clear, and that's very big, clear career path, recognition, reward, and retention. We know that management core facilities is demanding. And now go back to us, to the managers and the heads. And thus, there is need for supporting the CF and the RI to prepare the next generation of leaders and operators. Let's not only thinking that's why we do it now, as Saskia said yesterday, we get the people and we training them when they are at the core facility. Can we actually do that before? Can we actually show that there is another career path that is not the usual academia, but also entering, working in core facilities or research infrastructures? And this happens right now. I have many younger people that they don't want to do PhDs and they want to work with us. How we actually do this lifelong management education, how we specialize them, how we get the real trainings, because they need special trainings, and how we avoid the fragmentation of these training activities. And here I want to bring up one project that has been running for the last 3 years. Some of you might know, it's called the Research Infrastructure Trainings AIM Plus, what is aiming to meet these needs I just told you before. And how? Well, to create training programs to fulfill the competencies of the requirements that these operators need, to develop learning activities. Now we're talking about at the level of the university, the master, undergraduate, and PhDs. To start talking about infrastructures, to talk about that there is other pathways that they can actually follow. And this will probably pave the way of the career path for the new generations of research infrastructures and core facility managers and operators. I want to show this. If you want to see more about the deliverables, sorry for the picture, maybe it doesn't sound very well, but we did in 2021, one survey, both quantitative and qualitative, according to my social scientist friends, in the way that we interview people and we actually ask questions to people to know what is the competency profile of these core facility people. Communication, organizational leadership, academia and excellence, that was for the managers. But the interesting thing, it was on what the staff have to have. Academic excellence, flexibility and curiosity, interdisciplinary communication and service-oriented, of course. We have created pilots to do these continuous professional development courses. We ran one last year. We ran one in 1 month. I will give the innovation, entrepreneurship and engagement with industry course together with other colleagues from the synchrotron facility. And this is the 8 different pilot courses that we have organized during this project. We have developed also train the trainers kit. That means eventually we will give you as a deliverable that, and you can do these courses in your own university, and a coaching program from the managers. That's the idea. Actually, if I go, our dream, it will be to establish an European school for management of the research infrastructures. Challenge, we still have some challenge. Not everything is easier. Actually, it's very difficult, and I heard yesterday, and I can put the list much longer, but just only go to these points. The recognition of the core facilities as a genuine scientific structures. They still are poorly positioned, and sometimes some host institutions that not really appreciate what they're doing. Core facilities are also isolated in many times, even worse than the Peninsula Iberic. Sometimes much more than that, and they need to be integrated into all this research infrastructure ecosystem. We have limitations in terms of understaffing. We don't have staff enough. Sometimes we have the machines, but we don't have the people to run these machines. And the lack of career perspectives. How we keep the people if we don't have that? We have to build and maintain state-of-the-art core facilities that are demanding. To do that, there is a way, and we're helping, and now I will wear my own hat, my second hat, is actually the joint force. And this is important, and we discussed about that yesterday. And you have to do it, and if we don't do it, we will have a problem. You have to do with the other groups, with the institutions, with the users, and build alliance. And of course, we have an association, the Core Technologies for Life Science, that we have been working with this for a very long time. As an association, we are relatively young. We started in 2016, but the idea have actually started much before. And that was in Dublin last year. Robbie is here. We were in this beautiful field. We were not allowed to run in the field. Never mind, next time. As already Elaine explained what we actually doing and who are our network, we actually try to provide this platform for networking for the core facilities, exchange best practice, promote education, professional development. This is our advocacy. And that's what's also happening in Dublin. It was a workshop that we did at the same time. You see, everybody was very happy because we also tried to promote education. We have actually a course that we do every year, run by the CTLS, together with HFP. We have shadowing programs. People can move from one facility to another. Okay, almost in the end. Research infrastructures and core facilities actually have changed the science ecosystem. And you will see by the discussion and what my colleagues will say soon. This is important to keep in mind and will not go back. It will improve. It will get bigger and bigger because it's like that. We give added value to the open access and quality control. You have a place where things happen and we know that it will work. You will know that it will work in the best hands, and also the instruments are in the best hands. We exchange knowledge and technology, everything. Methodology. We actually create expert groups. We do workshops, we training, we collaborate, do collaboration and do new science that to try to actually overcome the time constraint. I have many users that come to me and say, oh, the referee told me, the review told me I have to do this and I have 2 months. Okay, let's sit and organize it. Effective solutions, of course, for the researchers. And now the last ones. Policymakers and founders. When I mean founders, I mean national, the host institution, but please also for the heads and the directors and the managers. We all have to be here. To consider CF a strategic investment and to take into account that the construction of CF and research infrastructures embedded regional, national, strategically holds really a great potential to accelerate the socio-economic development. We're talking about, they have been just talking about the social and the economical development. The long-term commitment. You have created a research infrastructure and core facility that have cost a lot of money in terms of the different machines or instruments that you have put there. Well, You have to enable now an efficient financial planning for the long-term sustainable development. If you don't do that, all this will be lost. To incentivize the networking, for sure, we live in a time that will be constraints and it's shrinking because we will get less money for science and more money for defense. We are in a global situation that is quite stress for many people. We have to network, we have to clustering, we have to integrate, we have to, according to the capacities and capabilities you have in the different research infrastructures, you have to build and optimize. And I think here the founders, the hosts, have to help the heads and the managers to do so. Enhance international cooperation. And one thing very important, science diplomacy. We are a perfect place for doing that. We get open to anyone. I think Europe has to be actually proud that we actually do that. And the last but not the least, and the most important for me, is the building and maintain a national and international competitive scientific enterprise. You need that the CF and the RI people, personal staff, that have the knowledge and the expertise is sustained and nurtured from the future. If we don't do that, we will have a problem. And with that, thank you.